And we're back. This is the QB Lab podcast. I'm your host, Jake. That's my co-host, Zach. We got a ton to talk about. For me, I've missed the show, having a few weeks off here. It's exciting to be back into the rhythm, even though the NFL season is over. We got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about in terms of super early 2026 QB predictions. This is not draft predictions. We're going to have a separate episode for that. But this is specifically talking our big predictions for the 2026 NFL season. We each got 5 quarterbacks we chose. We have not talking about it. We may have the same 5. We don't know. So this is totally off the cuff. So hopefully you'll all enjoy it. Before we dive right into it, as always, you got to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. If you want to hit the like button, that's great too. If you want to leave us a comment, we appreciate it. We always try to respond to everything, even if it's the dumbest comment in the world. We always try to respond. I'm going to go right off the top, go with my dog, my boy, Josh Allen. As always, I got to talk Josh Allen here. Why not? My take for 2026 is he's going to post a career low in interception rate. I think he's going to have a phenomenal season this year. I think he's going to bounce back from a terrible ending to his 2025/2026 season. I think that the Bills are really going to lean heavily into quick game and designed run. I think they're going to really reduce those high risk hero ball type plays without lowering his overall impact. I think what happened a lot in this last season was Josh Allen was forced to do too much. He was forced to throw the ball down the field too many times. He was putting the cape on too many times. I think they're going to really try to give him the support that he needs. And that's why his interception rate is going to be the lowest it's ever been, which I think would be very impressive. I don't recall which year. Maybe it was his 2020 season that was his lowest, but I do see that happening. Zach, let's hear your first take.
Yeah, no, first I want to react to yours. Josh Allen, he had 12 interceptions last season. If I look through his 2024, I'm seeing 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
I've got 9 in 2019. What about fumbles? What do you think about Josh Allen and the way he's fumbling the football as of late?
Yeah, it's a good question. Honestly, I hate to say this, but I think there's still going to be some struggles there. I think there's going to be some fumbling issues again with Josh Allen. From the start of his career, holding on to that ball, being careful, being smart, it's always something that just seems to nag. He's constantly fighting with it. Although I think the interceptions are going to be down, I do think the fumbles are going to remain pretty high. The main reason being is I think that no matter what you do, there's going to be those times where he holds it a little too long in the pocket. He scrambles a little too much, and we're still going to see some of that. It's not going to affect him in a way where it's going to be disastrous for the Bills. But this idea that he's not going to fumble the ball and have the most miraculous season ever, I don't think is going to happen. But reducing some of those deep ball interceptions, I do see that's going to change. Or at least I hope it does.
Okay. My first take for the 2026 season is that Caleb Williams might even be the MVP, but is definitely going to be an MVP contender going through the 2026 season. I think what we saw out of the playoffs was a massive leap forward for him, and he's just gotten through his first season of learning the Ben Johnson offense. During the regular season, I think Ben Johnson relied heavily on a very strong run game. DeAndre Swift suddenly became your running back's favorite running back, and Kyle Monangai ran like he's shot out of a cannon every play, and that gave them a strong sense of stability. But I think in year 2 of working with Ben Johnson, they're going to get a bit more creative with it. I think Caleb Williams is going to trust his legs a bit more. I think Colston Loveland takes a massive leap forward and becomes the wide receiver 1 of this offense, even though he's a tight end. And I think overall, we're going to see Caleb find another level, use improvisation skills, and build on what we saw this season, take a massive leap forward in 2026.
Wow. Okay. A lot to unpack there. I agree that another year under Ben Johnson is a good thing, and there's going to be a comfort level. I do think you're stretching a little in terms of Caleb, and what he's going to do and what he's going to become. I'm honestly still not sure what Caleb Williams is, because it's been a roller coaster. We've seen some great stuff from him. We've seen some awful stuff from him. I'll say this, at least consistency, same coach, same scheme, same system, I think is going to help him. I don't see him being MVP type talent yet, but I could see him taking a step forward. I mean, there's no reason he shouldn't take a step forward. I would, take it the same. I don't know if this is taking it further than what you're saying, but I would almost say if he doesn't take a step forward, I would actually say that's a bust of a season. If he doesn't get better this year, it's a bust. Like, he should be a lot better, right?
I can get behind that. I think overall, if you're looking at NFC North, the Vikings are going nowhere with 9. I think the Detroit Lions, without Ben Johnson, took a massive step back. And I think Amon-Ra is going to go into next season way more injured than what he did this season. And it's really going to be the Bears versus the Packers. And if you're telling me to compare front to bottom, I love that Bears team. I think the Bears win that division. I think that Caleb Williams positions himself as being at least a top 5 quarterback, if not higher, based on my MVP prediction there. But I think this is a situation where, sure, we saw him lead the league in throwing the ball away after leaving the pocket and doing nothing with it. But we also saw, like, I was ready to believe in him against that in that Rams game. Like, this is a situation where usually I'm one of the biggest haters in the world. But the magic that he went in to the rest of that playoff game with has me really buying high on Caleb Williams. I think 2026 could be his year.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you. I think it's certainly possible. I don't see MVP, but I do see a big step forward. Another name, as a Bills fan, it always bothers me to talk about the team that I'm about to talk about, because I feel like they're given too much media attention that they don't deserve. But the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, I do think he's going to lead. This is an interesting stat. He's going to lead the NFL in completion percentage over expectation, CPOE, because I
Okay.
think the expectations for him, I don't think are that high going into 2026. I don't think anyone's expecting anything great from him or the Cowboys, and I think
Oh, I
he's going to
totally am.
surprise. Sorry?
I totally am. I'm
Yeah.
totally expecting now that Dak has 2, I would argue, top 5 wide receivers. His game got way easier than if you compare other quarterbacks.
He had them last year. Like, it's not
Yeah,
like
he did
he's
great last
different,
year.
right?
I
Yeah, I
I
know.
think Dak
Yeah,
had a
but the
great season.
team, he did, but he didn't. But it was all in junk. It wasn't for real. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It didn't feel real. It didn't feel legitimate. I guess my stat doesn't take that in consideration, but I want to add that, yes, like, I think he's going to be better than expected, but more importantly, I think he's actually going to make a difference to the team this year. They're actually going to be better because of it. I think with a change in the way they pass, obviously they have 2 amazing receivers, work on some rhythm passing, some quick passing, forcing him to get the ball out quickly. I think it's really going to make a difference.
Okay. Number 2 for me, I got to take things into the same division as you're taking them and talk about our boy, Jaxson Dart. Now,
Mhm.
longtime listeners of the show, people will know we were some of the few that had Jaxson Dart over Cam Ward. From the first round quarterbacks, I think we decisively won that prediction battle.
Oh,
Now,
yes.
year 2, I hate to say it, I am not a Jaxson Dart believer. I think that his production was mostly on the ground and in the running game. And I think if he continues to play that way, he's going to find himself in and out of the blue tent, similar to where we saw him in these parts of the season. And I think as a thrower of the football, he was not nearly as accurate with it as I would have liked. Now, if we get Malik Neighbors back next season, that could help. If we get Cam Scatterbo back next season, that could help. But I think right now his aura is bigger than his talent. And I think we see a big step back in his sophomore season.
Yeah, I know a lot of people want to hear us, challenge each other and push back, but honestly, I couldn't agree more. I think he's going to be awful next year. I don't see anything coming from Jackson Dart. He's a super cool guy, but you nailed it. The aura is bigger than the talent. I don't think the talent is really there. And, the injury problems. I mean, I've talked about this before. Quarterbacks that have a great rookie season that really use their legs, a lot of times they struggle in year two. I think Jaxson Dart fits that mold perfectly and not in a good way. So I agree. Jaxson Dart, he's going to have a really, really down year. And, the struggles with injuries is going to be a big problem. Big take here. This is a big take for me. Okay.
Okay.
Justin Herbert. Okay. He's not a playoff guy, clearly. My take about him being elite in terms of being a winner, having the winner DNA, that doesn't change. He clearly doesn't have it. Whatever it is, doesn't have it. But he's going to finish in with a top 2 MVP vote share. He's going to be in the MVP conversation. Now, it's going to be.
You think it's going to be Justin Herbert versus Caleb Williams?
I don't know if it'll be Caleb. It might be Josh. I don't know. But I'll tell you this. I think Justin Herbert is going to take another step forward. I think in terms of his passing game, look, the Chargers have a great system in place. They run the ball reasonably well. They passed it incredibly well with Herbert throughout last season. Yes, he failed in the playoffs. I think he reevaluates that. He makes some adjustments. I think he comes off, has a great season. The team has a great year. And because of that, he's in that MVP conversation.
Okay. You know what? I don't hate it. I don't think he's nearly that talented. I think he's completely overrated as a quarterback, but I don't hate the take.
His girlfriend's not overrated, though.
No, she's underrated. I'd even argue. Okay. My third take is I think that the best quarterback in the NFC South is on the New Orleans Saints, and his name is Tyler Shuck. And I think that the NFC South champion in 2026 will be those New Orleans Saints. I think that my take is further cemented by the fact that, actually, I would argue Kirk Cousins is better right now than Tyler Shuck, but I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are going to let him have the keys to the franchise. I think Tyler Shuck's better than Baker Mayfield. I think he's better than Bryce Young. I think he's better than Michael Penix Jr., and I don't think it's close. I think when you look at the play data from last season and the reads that Tyler Shuck is doing before the snap and the way that he's using Olave deep is something that is special in that NFC South. And I think that the only person I'd want to put on that level as a potential is Baker Mayfield. But I think it's been proven that without Liam Cohen running the offense, it's not the same offense. I think Tyler Shuck continues on this trajectory. I think Kellen Moore is obviously a help to his game. And I think they continue making good things happen. And in year 2 of Tyler Shuck, I think he's a division champion.
I love the take. I love Shuck because coming in out of the draft, I think there was a lot of oh, who is this guy? Why did he fall? Whatever. I think you and I talked about him that we thought he had legitimate potential, right?
Yeah.
He probably should have won the QB battle to start the season. I think the Saints didn't necessarily believe that they had a real shot, and they didn't want to necessarily put him in and just throw him into the fire. Obviously, he ended up playing anyways, but it was much later on. I like that you bring up Shuck and his comfort level because that's something that is very hard to teach. You either have it or you don't. A guy like Tom Brady had it as soon as he entered the NFL. Josh Allen, even for all the errors he made in his first 2 seasons, he had this comfort about him in the pocket. I see that kind of thing in Shuck, and that's why I believe that he's going to be a really good quarterback. And again, in that really, really weak division, I like the Saints. I really do. I think they have the best team in that division. If they were in another division, totally different conversation. But in that division, I do think they have a really good chance to win it.
Also, I might even go here with it. Tyler Shuck is a year younger than Tua Tagovailoa. He might end up being the model of stay a bit longer in college because you get to learn more of the game. You get that NIL money, which we both know Shedeur took a step back with his NIL money. But Tyler Shuck also, he avoided those years of injuries. The college risk of injury is significantly lower than what you'd be experiencing in the NFL. This might be a new model where either quarterbacks are busting too early, like what people expected from Baker Mayfield and what they were expecting with Sam Darnold, only to learn later they were just late bloomers. People might stay in college longer to avoid the injury risk and to learn a game that's only getting more complicated. So I think Tyler Shuck could be a new mold of quarterback in that regard, but I think he's potentially a division champion come 2026.
I think it's a big piece there. You talk about the NIL. I think that's going to change the way things happen now, especially for big positions like quarterbacks where they're getting big money. There is no rush. Like the whole reason players used to rush to get the NFL is because they got to get paid before they have that massive injury. That kind of disappears with NIL. So I think we're going to see more and more that quarterbacks want to stay in college longer and longer, get their game more prepared. I think the NFL asks a lot more of quarterbacks now than they used to. So there's a good reason and a good argument, both financially and mentally, to stay in college a little longer. So yeah, very, very fair point. So I got two more takes here. One, I'll bang off both right here.
Oh, you want
Drake
both
May.
right away, eh?
I'm going to go with both. I'm going to knock them right out.
All
Okay.
right.
Two things here. And they both go in the same direction. They're both negative in nature. Drake May, massive step backwards. He's not going forwards. After that total, what I would call a total meltdown in the Super Bowl, Drake May is going to continue that trend next season. He's going to have a down year. The Patriots are not winning the division again. I think it was a fluke. They had one of the easiest schedules, I believe, in over 30 years in the NFL by percentage, winning percentage against their opponents. And Drake May is a good quarterback. He is nowhere near MVP level the way we sort of saw him do it, at least statistically speaking, last season. So going to be a massive drop off for Drake May next season. And the next massive drop off. Now, this one's a little tricky because he had a lot of injuries, but Lamar Jackson has had his best years. His best years are behind him. It's not just because of injuries. Teams are figuring him out. He's always been too reliant on his running game. And some people might at me and go, well, he's so good at throwing, whatever. The reason he's also good at passing is because of the threat of his run. If that threat is not what it used to be, and after a handful of injuries this season and struggling, he's probably never going to get back to what he was in terms of perfect mobility. And because of that, I just don't see how he could be the passer he once was when there's no threat of his running ability, or at least less so of a threat.
I agree with both takes. I see your Lamar Jackson is done take, and I raise you with Patrick Mahomes is done. I think Patrick Mahomes' best years are behind him. I don't think it's particularly close.
I hope you're right.
Yeah. But that wasn't even a take I came in here with, Jake.
Wow.
But it's probably better than the two that I potentially have in the background. But one of my takes isn't for 2026. It's for 2027. And my take is that in 2027, that AFC West division is going to be the division because you'll have the Kansas City Chiefs, you'll have Justin Herbert and the Chargers, who currently have the third most cap room. You have the Denver Broncos, where Bo Nix will come back from his injury and he'll have a bit more years maturing on him. And I imagine they're still going to have a competitive-looking defense. And lastly, you're going to have a Las Vegas Raiders team that I am up on. I'm very big on Kubiak. I wanted the Bills to take Kubiak. For those that are new to the show, Jake and I are big Bills fans, so we've talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Clint, I think Kubiak changes.
Clint Kubiak, yeah, that was a phenomenal signing. Look,
phenomenal.
I don't know what's going to happen with the Raiders. Obviously, there's a lot of cleanup to do, but I think they found the right guy at the right time.
Well, Jake, let me break it down for you. Which team has the second most cap space in the NFL? It's the Las Vegas Raiders. All you have to do is get yourself an offensive line. You already have Ashton Genty, who is already getting more, like, if they had any sort of an offensive line, he's dodging everybody up in here. You have Brock Bowers, who had some difficulty with his PCL through the season, but still has probably the best catch of any tight end in the NFL this season. He's a legitimate star in the making, or you could say already. And then if you bring in, pick your quarterback, but I do love me some Mendoza with a Kubiak scheme that is designed to help like he just made Sam Darnold look way more than serviceable.
It's unbelievable.
I think you're in a situation where in 2 seasons, that situation of Raiders, Chargers with a beefed up, whatever you want, because they're the third most cap space and they already have an incredible defense. By then, Mahomes is probably back to being somewhat healthy, although I stand by what I said before that he's done. And then you got a Broncos team that I think that to me looks like a dangerous division in 2 years.
Even with the 3, even with the Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos, that's an insane division, assuming the Raiders can turn things around. Yeah, look, Mendoza coming into the Raiders with what I would say is not it won't be high expectations because they've been so awful. People just want some decent football, but Kubiak's going to make the job. That's what he does. He makes the job easier for the quarterback. If he can do that with Sam Darnold, he can do it with anyone. Because to me, Darnold, like I said it all season, he's a fraud, he's a this, he's that. But in the end, he wasn't, and I was totally wrong, and I'll eat that.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, you got to give thanks to a guy like Kubiak, and clearly is an incredible offensive mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then my last take that I've got for you, Jake, is I wanted to find the next Sam Darnold. And what I mean by that is the backup quarterbacks don't get enough love. They get limited playing time. They're thought of as being done most of the time. So I wanted to think to myself, of those backup quarterbacks, if I had to bet on one going into the next season as a potential starter and as someone that can help turn a franchise around, who would I go with? My number one choice was going to be Mac Jones, but he's not in a position to be able to do so because he's still under contract behind Brock Purdy. And yes, Brock Purdy deserves that starting job. I will fight that to the end.
I don't know
so
about that.
I had a couple people to pick from next, but the person I'm going to go with as the 2026 Sam Darnold is none other than Marcus Mariota. He wasn't very successful from a win percentage point of view in his starts with Wash. I think he was something like 2-6 in 2025. But I also think that defense was atrocious, and that's not all Marcus Mariota's fault.
Oh,
I think this is a guy
good. He looked really good. Yeah.
And some people are trying to run away that Malik Willis is suddenly like this stud that's been behind the scenes that's going to I think he's quite good, but I don't know why you would bet on him with what we've seen over Marcus Mariota. I think from right now, I'm not ready to give him Marcus Mariota just yet based on what we saw from this 2025 season. I think there are a couple teams where they're going to need someone on the cheap. They might not want to invest a draft pick in him. And maybe he's a guy that has the potential to turn a franchise around.
Or at least give them some serviceable quarterback skills. I mean, yeah, I saw enough from him to at least say, look, if I'm an organization and I've struggled and I need someone who's safe, who knows what they're doing, who's been in it before, who's been to the playoffs, I think Marcus Mariota is a great option for a team that is just looking for some consistency and some veteran presence of a guy who can probably do enough to get you to the playoffs. Is he taking you to the Super Bowl? Probably not. But he's at least making you a decent team and not a joke, right?
Yeah. Also, Kirk Cousins is a starter. He's getting paid too much, but he's a starter that
he should
some
be starting.
team should benefit from. Yeah.
He should be starting. I've said, I mean, look, I'm a huge Kirk Cousins fan. I've always talked about how much I love him. Kirk Cousins should be starting in the NFL. No ifs, ands, or buts. He is more than good enough to be starting. He's probably better than at least 10 quarterbacks playing in the NFL right now as starters.
Yeah. I think it's more than fair.
Yeah. Well, look, if you've listened to us this whole time, we appreciate it. As always, tons of love from me and Zach. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and we'll see you very soon.